Today I'm going to take you on a tour of a new charging station in El Cajon, California in San Diego County that has 88 DC fast charging ports, but you can't use any of them. I'll explain in a little bit. I'm Patrick, half of the electric duo. Let's go. So I'm coming to you today from the Helix Water District site in El Cajon, California, which is in San Diego County, just east of San Diego. And this site is their grand opening today. So there's a lot of people from all over that are excited by the launch of this huge facility. There's 88 dispensers. The facility costs about $11 million, but 10 million of that came from grants. And they are super excited to basically be one of the first to come out with a facility like this. One, because that's part of what they're trying to do, is to be better environmental stewards, but also because of the laws and regulations here in California are pushing toward electrification of fleets like this. So right now, Helix Water District has about 10% of their fleet is electric. It's a lot of F-150 Lightnings, but they will be expanding that as they replace vehicles over the next few years. And this facility is going to allow for that, as well as being able to share some of this charging capability with other government agencies throughout the area, which is really, really cool. So 88 of the dispensers, they're not all big ones like this behind us. This is an Autel setup here. Just learned this is sort of like their NEVI setup. So there's a 640 kilowatt cabinet behind us, and this dispenser on the left can handle 320 kilowatts out. The one on the right can handle 320 kilowatts out. And there's another dispenser over on the other side. It can also handle 320 and 320. But of course, like if you have vehicles plugged into all four, it'll reduce it down to 160 per port. But it's all, of course, being handled very smoothly and efficiently, all of that stuff. But 320 coming out of one of the ports here is really, really cool. One of the things I was curious about is, like, if they are opening this up to other like municipalities to come in and charge, how are they managing that? They have some really cool management software, first of all, that will like let the incoming driver, that they can tell them like, go to this stall or that stall to help manage their cost or how quickly they need to get out. This, of course, is like, these are the two big dispensers and get people out quickly. But they said that once they have the vehicle in their system, they can do basically auto charge. It also has the capability of RFID reader. They also have the NIAX payment system down here with a credit card, if they ever wanted to offer that, as well as like a barcode where they could scan and then connect their info. So very cool. This is like the big beast out of those. And then I want to flip around and sort of take you on a tour of the rest of this facility, which has a lot more cool stuff, even though it's not as powerful as this one. So this is the 640 kilowatt cabinet I was just talking about that powers the unit that we were just standing in front of. And then you can see there's another one over here. This is the Autel setup. Like I said, this is sort of like their NEVI setup that they have been pitching and deploying throughout the country, working with other organizations. But over there, like, I'm not going to go all the way over because there's so much to this facility. Over there, there's the bays where they can do some charging overhead with some Heliox chargers. I'll go show you those in this facility over here because they have more of those as well. But before, there's chargers everywhere, and because they still have a lot of gas and diesel trucks, they are put in a way that they don't disrupt current operations as they make their transition. So just quickly over on the right, over here, you've probably seen a lot of these. These are just basically regular charge point chargers. They're 6 kilowatts. So like if they had some Priuses, they would plug in 2 Priuses, which means they were charging at 3 kilowatts, which is not great if you're talking about like trying to charge an F-150 Lightning or something bigger that they're now getting into. Now over here, these are starting to get interesting. So now they have these Autel 40 kilowatt chargers. There's some, like this one here just has one dispenser, but most of them are dual dispensers. So it's a 40 kilowatt charger, and then it can split power. So it's 20 kilowatts each, which For you and I as consumers, like we wouldn't want to necessarily see this on a road trip, but for a customer like Helix, it is a great system for them to have, because they can plug in, like there are two lightnings to these at 20 kilowatts. They can charge overnight and be completely ready to go the next morning. So it's a really nice solution without having to spend a ton of money on like those big 320 kilowatt chargers that we were just looking at. And they have quite a few of these. I can't remember all of the numbers because there's so many. We'll just pop up the numbers because there's so many of these, but you can see they're going all the way down there. There's a few coming down this way here, and then over on the fence over there are quite a few more. Okay, I had to switch directions because they were filming in that other facility, but this one has exactly what I wanted to show you anyways. First of all, look at the conduit coming into this. Well, they have a lot of future proofing that they've added to this facility to make sure they have enough power and enough conduit going everywhere. But this is like what is so cool. To make this like really easy for operations, they put the chargers above everything, and they had to use some very unique cable management to make sure it's like those cables are fully retracted when they're not in use. But a really cool setup. We've seen some of this with level 2 charging, but these are Heliox 180 kilowatt chargers. And you see like they have one here on this side, but they also have one over here in the back. And first of all, like you could put two trucks side by side and charge, but there's a ton of these around. And again, looking at future proofing, what they want to be able to do. And of course, you know, unfortunately, the vehicles in here right now are gas vehicles and diesel vehicles. But what they want to be able to do is, like, say if this is electric, they could have one of the chargers charging like the battery to power the vehicle, and then the other charging the battery that's going to power you know, some of the functions in the back of the truck. So a really interesting setup, a lot of capabilities here, and just really cool to see how they've managed all the cabling, as well as like getting so much power just distributed all throughout here. And you can just go down and see how many they have built here. And I was talking to somebody, it's like, it's a little bit, you know, you could think of it as like putting the cart before the horse to have this much charging capability. But they wanted to get ahead of the game for a couple of reasons. One, the grant money was there. Two, the power from SDG&E, our local utility, was there. They didn't want to wait like 5 years down the road and the grant money is gone, or they, you know, contact the utility and they're like, oh yeah, we don't have enough power in your area. So very cool to see that they have been proactive. And they want this to be like a regional charging hub. And I don't know how well this is showing up on camera, but it's like it goes all the way down. There are so many of these dispensers, and these are the ones that they think they will be using for their bigger vehicles charging overnight. And now we're gonna go take a look really at where the power is coming in for this facility. And before I do that, let me just say, I think I might've said that there was only 2 of the dispensers, but there's actually 4. So this is basically another duplicate of what I was just showing you on the other side, but more Autel of their 640 kilowatt cabinet with 320 kilowatt dispensers. And then now here's the other facility. Now that they've finished filming, I can show you. And again, all the charging is up overhead, and a lot of charging ports in here as well. And it goes all the way down. And at the end of the building, you can see where the power is coming in. And I'll show you, like on the other side, all of the conduit that they had to run in here for this amount of power on this building. It's a total of 5.9 megawatts of power, ton of power. And what they did is they made it so that each side of the facility has about 3 megawatts coming in. And that basically means it's connected to 2 different circuits with SDG&E. So if they ever need to take it down and do maintenance, hopefully they only have to take out half of the facility and they can still manage and still get the work done, even if there is a prolonged power outage due to the grid. The other thing that they did, and this is over on the other side, they actually have a place where they can plug in a generator. So if necessary, if there's a prolonged outage, they can plug in and not necessarily run everything, but they can run quite a bit just off of the generator for a prolonged outage. Now, take a look at this cabinet here. I think this is the largest electric utility cabinet I've ever seen in my life. That thing is giant and mounted up on this wall. It's just amazingly huge. Here are the Heliox power units that are powering all the ones that are overhead in the facility we just walked through. They have sort of like a duplicate of this over on the other side where the power is coming in on the other side of the facility. And then we're gonna take a sneak back here. And I think this is it almost looks like art to me because it's so cool. The way that they've run all the piping up here, the conduit, look at that. So much power coming in, another big cabinet up there on the wall. Just amazing to see. And we're gonna go ahead and just walk down here because we'll go down and visit some more of those Autel chargers down along this fence line. But yeah, just an amazing facility to see. And I've been talking to them. The software management that they have is really interesting. They make sure that they can see like who's charging. They can reset the chargers remotely. And of course, on a project this big, dealing with so many different vendors, it can be quite a challenge. But working with Autel and Heliox, they were able to come up with a system that reports everything into one central software that they can manage and see and do billing and all of that. So here's the other bank of Autel chargers. So again, they can come in, plug their trucks in overnight and have them fully charged on things like F-150 Lightning, Silverado. The bigger trucks might not get fully charged on these, but then they have the Heliox chargers inside. So overall, just like such a great facility to see come online. Well, I was able to snag a friendly face, Dario. You guys have seen him on our channel before, actually just like last week at EV Charging Summit. Yeah. So good to see you again. You guys were a major player in getting this. I mean, besides this, we just took a tour of all of the 40 kilowatts as well. Let's talk about the project and how cool it is to see sort of like from the 40 kilowatt all the way up to the 320.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like your dream project when you look at fleet, right? Because you have the application of, longer dwells with the 40 kilowatt units. Actually it's a split system. You can charge 2 vehicles at 20 kilowatt. So, you have quite a bit of flexibility on that end. And then of course you have the shorter dwell with a high power, up to 320 kilowatt per port. We have 4 dispenser and 2 power cabinets here, and great sites, with PV and gantry-mounted charging from our friendly neighbors at Heliox, and overall, everything is coming together like a great ecosystem. Every player has worked together and making sure the customer got what they wanted and what they needed, and so just great story and great feelings all around.
Yeah, and I think it sort of speaks to things that we've talked about, but it was like on a show floor. It's really cool to see these like in the ground, but something that we've always talked about at your booth, one is like you have a portfolio of products. Yeah. And this sort of shows it. And it's like, we won't mention the other brand. I already did, the charge points. But like you guys have everything that you can satisfy a lot of needs, but it's sort of like they may have this brand for this level and you guys for another level. It's sort of like you can work with everybody.
You can definitely do that, and I think at the end of the day shows just how the industry is evolving. Obviously, you still have chargers in this parking lot. They're from the old days of the SDG&E programs, and then you have this new fleet program that just came in with this great project, and it all works together. Like we're all trying to make sure that everybody who needs a charge gets it.
Yeah, and that's the main thing with fleet customers is like they have to have a lot of flexibility. They have a lot of needs. Like if you're putting, like we were talking about, like these are sort of like your NEVI type package that you would deploy. You want just the fastest that you can get out there. Right. But this sort of like a good illustration of like they may need a Lightning that just needs to charge overnight, and the split 40 kilowatt is perfect for that. It'll give them enough charge to go overnight. But if they have a truck that's coming in and like needs to get back out in the field, they can use these.
Yeah, and I would argue that if there are like service trucks for SDG&E in the area, they can stop here and charge. If you have other, fleet vehicles from surrounding cities and townships, they can actually stop here. And this can be a little bit of a district or a municipal CPO, if you will.
And it's something like just last week at EV Charging Summit, we talked about this. I just posted about an electric school bus in our neighborhood. Yep. We're talking about that. It's one thing to get at the vehicles, but to get a facility where you can charge them is very difficult. And I could imagine that, like, you don't, the worst case scenario is like you buy a bunch of electric vehicles, you have no place to charge them because it's taking so long to get the facility.
Right.
But because of this type of cooperation, here's a facility they could come and use instead of paying Electrify America, an inordinate amount of money compared to doing a fleet operation, as well as they're not taking up, a spot that I could use as a consumer. So it's really cool to see the fleet stuff coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going to need this project to show the way and to show a little bit of courage and execution. I think at the end of the day, it's chicken and the egg. Like, do I get the vehicles first? Do I get the charging first? Reality is that probably, everything needs to happen, but kind of like, in lockstep. Because obviously once you know what vehicles you are going to be charging and you know the dwell time and all the patterns, then you can select the correct equipment.
Yeah, no, I was talking to the project manager. Now we got a noisy truck coming in. But I was talking to the manager and he was like, yeah, the lightnings have been working out great because they can predict, they know exactly how much power they need for what they're doing that day. And I imagine like that's just amplified with the fleet. And you guys are able to help them see that because of the data that you're reporting. I just saw the screen over there and they're like, they can monitor in one screen what every single charger's doing.
Yeah, and we're going to be learning more and more as these vehicles are going to come in and go about their business and charge. And we can see patterns of operation and utilization, and we can fine tune power management and power utilization throughout the day, even though it's a pretty beefy site, 6 megawatt, right? So it's a lot to play with.
Yeah, that's a lot of power. Yeah. Well, this is great to see. As much as I love seeing this stuff on a show floor, it's really cool to see it, in the concrete.
Yeah, this is where it's supposed to live.
And I actually got to see them plug in and use one of these. So very cool. Good to see you again.
Likewise. Thank you, Patrick.
Well, that was great to catch up with Dario, but overall today, it was really exciting to see everybody coming together to get this facility launched and open and seeing the future potential that this facility has, as well as like what is going on throughout California and the rest of the US. Maybe there's like that EV reset, EV winter that we're all talking about, but a lot of fleets, a lot of municipalities and other organizations are recognizing the potential of saving a ton of money by going electric. I was talking to one of the people here with Helix and how their lightnings are going, and they're saying, first of all, they're saving a tremendous amount of money on fuel costs because of being able to charge overnight. But they are also already seeing the reduction in the necessary maintenance. Of course, the lightnings are fairly new, but they're projecting that within just a few years, those will like pass their break-even point. And then after that, it's just such a tremendous return to their bottom line of going electric. The investment that they've made in here, especially using the grant money, is also going to pay off tremendously. They're going to have the capabilities for years for their trucks to charge here, but they're being able to like share that with the community. First of all, it just helps with, all of these government agencies that we, pay our taxes or our, water dollars to or whatever. It all is nice to see that they're working together and to see like Helix is going to basically be a good partner, and hopefully other agencies out there are doing the same type of thing to be a good partner, and they're sharing what they're learning from this facility with them as well. So this is, they're learning a lot, and they are going to take those learnings and share, which by the way, coming up soon, we're going to be going to ACT Expo, Advanced Clean Transportation Expo in Vegas, and it's a lot of stuff like this. So stay tuned if you are interested in fleet electrification. We're going to be covering all of the stuff there at that expo coming up at the beginning of May. Sounds like it's far away, but it's going to be just around the corner. But want to thank you for watching, liking, sharing. Thank our patrons and YouTube members at the Engage Unbridled and Whisper. I did that out of order. Liv would be laughing at me right now. But thank you guys so much for supporting us on a month-to-month basis. Check out our subscriptions because like we've changed the levels and all of that good stuff. And as Liv would say if she were here, just remember, whatever you drive, whether it's a commercial, big, giant fleet truck, or just a little old SUV or sports EV, enjoy the ride.